Premium quality football shirts at an extremely affordable price. Sound good? If so, check out the sponsor of today's video, jerseyfifa.com. You can see that I've sent you some shirts and they really are top quality, so make sure to click the link in the description to go find a shirt for yourself or perhaps as a gift for someone else. And you can now use code jerseyfifa at checkout for 10% off your order. That's code jerseyfifa at checkout for 10% off your order. I really do recommend their product, so go take a look. Now let's get into the analysis. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we are going to be looking at the current Premier League champions Manchester City and discussing why they need to make these two signings to improve even further as a team. So to be honest, it is quite difficult to improve this City team because quite simply, they are absolutely brilliant. They've got one of the best goalkeepers in the world, then at centre back they have 3 if not 4 top options for Pep to choose from. The quality continues when you move it into the midfield, with players like Rodri, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne. The team is clearly absolutely stacked with talent from the defence all the way to the front line. There was one hole in the starting 11 up front, but City wasted absolutely no time in addressing that issue as they went and signed one of the best young strikers in the world in Ehrling, so it's hard to improve this team any further. Now, the starting 11 is probably hard to improve, but one thing we all know is that Pep Guardiola loves a big squad with pure quality in depth, and in certain positions the current squad does lack that a little bit at the moment. One position where there is a lack of depth is at fullback. In Cancelo and Walker, City have 2 world-class players, but after that they only have Zinchenko, who is good, but he isn't on the same level and is actually better in midfield. So to address this issue, the first player I want to look at is Cucurella. Now just to confirm, I put this video together a few weeks ago, and it now actually looks like this signing could happen, so I want to look at what he would bring to the club. So immediately the first thing that Cucurella will bring to this Manchester City defence is technical quality. Surprise surprise, Guardiola is targeting a technically gifted player, and Cucurella is a player that would be more than happy to play out under pressure. One of the reasons that Cucurella would be so comfortable in these pressured situations is because he is a very good passer of the ball, so even when he is pressed he has the quality to keep the ball for his side and find a teammate with the pass. As well as being quite safe and assured with his passing, Cucurella can actually be extremely progressive as well, and over the past year or so he is ranked up there with the very best in Europe for his progressive passing numbers. As well as progressing the ball from deep, Cucurella is also a player that enjoys pushing forward into the final third, from where he does have a real element of creativity with his crosses and passes into the box being particularly threatening. Cucurella's overall quality on the ball is summed up when we look at his FBref report, ranking well for shot creating actions, passes attempted, progressive passes and progressive carries, in a team that finished 9th in the league. Obviously, before everything else, Cucurella is a defender, but you would have noticed in those numbers there that he performs very well in this area as well, and he is very quickly adapted to the defensive demands of the Premier League. Cucurella actually currently ranks in the 78th percentile for pressures, which would suggest that he could be perfect for Pep's side, because we know that Guardiola demands that his players press high, and Cucurella is already used to doing that. The other thing that Cucurella would bring is versatility, another trait that we know Guardiola favours, and as I said, Cucurella ticks that box. He can play as an orthodox left back, as an attacking left wing back, or at a centre back in a back 3. The thing that interests me the most is that Cucurella has spent a lot of time in the past year as a third centre back, and if he was a starter for City, then I could see Pep evolving his team into a new shape with Cucurella alongside the centre backs. Now, I genuinely believe that this could be the perfect role for Cucurella to play, thanks to his passing ability that we were discussing earlier, and in particular his ability to really progress the play with his forward passing. On top of this, playing on the left hand side of his defensive shape would also allow Cucurella to move slightly further forward as well, allowing him to show off his ball carrying ability to once again progress the ball through the thirds for his side. Something else that Cucurella would provide from this narrow position is defensive coverage, and sitting alongside the centre backs would give Manchester City a little bit more cover, especially when they get counter-attacked in the transition. Cucurella's positioning could also have a good effect on João Cancelo as well, because he would be able to move over to right back, but potentially actually move into more of a midfielder role where he can then get forward quite narrow. For all of the reasons that I have just discussed, I do really think that Cucurella looks like a typical Pep Guardiola player. He brings a lot of versatility, he provides extra defensive coverage, but above everything he has quality and ball progression. That's why I think it would be a brilliant signing. It would of course be a shame for Brighton to lose him so quickly, but a footballer's career is short, so I think Cucurella should make a move to the current Premier League champions. So that's the fullback position finished, so now I want to move into the midfield. And if you remember at the start of the video, I was talking about squad depth, and with Fernandinho leaving the club, City now need a backup holding midfielder. Now the player that has been heavily linked is Kalvin Phillips, and again I put this video together a few weeks ago, but it now looks increasingly likely that this transfer is going to happen. So let's take a look at what the Englishman would bring to City. So I think when we talk about Kalvin Phillips, the first thing that comes to mind is his brilliant energy levels off the ball. And again, if we are talking about City looking to press quite high, Kalvin Phillips is the perfect player to do that. Working under a manager like Bielsa for so long means that Phillips doesn't just run around like a headless chicken. He is very strategic with the way that he looks to press, and Bielsa developed him into a very tactically astute player. As well as providing the clear physical attributes as well as the intelligence, I actually think that he's a much more technically gifted player than what people give him credit for, because if not, Pep would not be targeting him this summer. From this point of view, one of my favourite things about the Englishman is his incredible long passing ability, and I genuinely mean it when I say that I think he is one of the best long passers in all of English football at this moment in time. This long passing ability could be something that Guardiola is interested in, because we know he likes his wingers to hold the width, so therefore the long passing ability of someone like Phillips could be perfect to bring them into the game nice and quickly. In general, Kalvin Phillips is a player that always brings a good tempo, no matter who he is playing for, and whilst he can run around, harry and press, he also has the ability to slow things down to help his side dictate the play. On top of this, Kalvin Phillips also has the ability to drop slightly deeper as well, and we've often seen him between the centre backs, so perhaps partnered with Cucarella stepping forward sometimes, it could work quite nicely. Something else that this signing would bring is the pure ability to win duels, and this is something that is really underrated about this City side. The reason they dominate is because they win the ball back so quickly, and Phillips would contribute to that. If brought into the club, then I do think that he would be one of City's more defensively proficient midfielders, thanks to his ability to cover and break up the play with a combination of well-timed interceptions as well as crunching tackles on the opponent. This ability to contribute both on and off the ball also makes Kalvin Phillips somewhat versatile, something we've seen when he's played for England, where he has often been used as more of an 8 rather than a typical holding midfielder. Overall, I do think this looks like quite a nice fit for both the player and the club. My one question is the fee, because being a reasonably young English player, Kalvin Phillips will have a high price tag, so it is not an easy transfer. Either way, it isn't my money that they would be spending, so I'm not actually too bothered about the fee, and I do think that Kalvin Phillips would bring a lot to this team, thanks to his ability to bring a few different attributes to the side as a player. In that respect, I think this would be a brilliant signing for Manchester City, although I'm not so sure that it is a good move for Kalvin Phillips himself, because realistically his game time is likely to be reduced, something that no one wants. I guess that is something that Guardiola would have to figure out, although to be fair he does usually do a good job of keeping a large squad happy, and squad management is something that he has done brilliantly during his time with Manchester City. Something else that Guardiola has done well is he has improved players, and that must be something that is really attracting Kalvin Phillips. If he was to make the move, then he is almost certainly going to improve as a player because of the coaching. This is where the move has positives and negatives. It is of course a World Cup year, so Phillips doesn't want less game time. However, no matter the game time, he would probably improve under Guardiola, so it is quite a fine balance. Overall, I do think it would be quite a good signing. I think he would come into the team and instantly improve the squad depth, particularly in that holding midfield area, whilst he could also play as an 8, making him a very useful squad player. As for Cucurella, I think he would be more likely to have more of an instant impact, perhaps coming straight into the starting 11, potentially boosting his chances of a spot at the World Cup. It looks like a bit of a no-brainer to me. For Kalvin Phillips, I think it's a little bit more complicated. For City, I think it's a great signing because of what he would bring to the squad, but for the player, I'm not quite as convinced. So that's where I need your help. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.